What is going on, guys? I think it's been a really long time since I've actually put out an actual video. Not a live stream, but a video. So I apologize for that. It's just with work and waiting on some decals and stuff like that. Yeah, I think it's been a while since I posted that last whip, which was, I think, something like 3 weeks ago. But yeah, it's been about 2 months, a little under 2 months since I embarked on this journey. For those of you just kind of chiming in, basically the whole point of this current series that I was doing was to basically show you guys that it's possible to do something cool with nothing but spray paints. I think there's a lot of you guys out there who are just logistically can't afford to get an airbrush setup, whether it be for financial or logistical reasons of just, not having a room. For me, I couldn't airbrush for the longest time because my previous apartment that I was living in just had literally one window, which was in the kitchen, and I very well wasn't going to be spraying anything or airbrushing in the kitchen. So yeah, I had to kind of put that on hold until I moved into this new place. So so yeah, the whole premise for this build was to basically show you guys that it's possible to do some pretty cool work with spray paint, and I hope I did this justice. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of modification and stuff like that on my part, and I didn't want to actually do a whole bunch of mods, but I just kind of had this idea festering in my head, and I just went with it. So otherwise, I probably would have been able to get this kit built and out to you guys a lot earlier. But yeah, I'm really glad that I finished it, and it was just such a great learning experience, because this is actually my first ever, like, I mean, not even highly modified, just like modified build. I mean, just going through, doing all the seam lines. Obviously, that's a given. But yeah, I missed a couple. Just couldn't be bothered to get all of them. I don't think you can see them as well in the feet, but I didn't do the seam lines on the feet because that was kind of a pain in the butt to do. But outside of that, yeah, I mean, this whole build was done completely with spray paints and a couple of just, like, bottles of enamel or lacquer that you just kind of have lying around. So some of the details were hand painted. Yeah, that's pretty much it, I would say. And I just want to say, like, I really appreciate you guys just, like, really supporting me in doing some of these, like, cool, like, themed builds and stuff like that. I don't do reviews. I don't do, like, unboxings and stuff like that for people to kind of rely on to make their next purchasing decision or whatever. But yeah, I mean, this is basically just me documenting the process of me just, building kits and stuff like that. And so I'm glad that you guys are along for the ride. So without further ado, I really hope I did this, spray painting is cool thing, like, justice. I hope you guys like it. Yeah, let's just jump straight into it, okay? Oh, and quick disclaimer, I'm going to tell you this right now. Spoiler alert, I do not recommend you do this kind of build all the time. Because, hold on, let me tell you how many. Focus, there you go. That is the list of all the spray paints that I used. Now, if you were to go out and buy this would be, I think this would probably break $100, $100 US. At $7, $8 a can, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 cans of spray paint, including 2 cans of primer. So yeah, long story short, don't rely on spray paints. I think it's economically a lot more friendly to do airbrushing builds. But if you can't help it, then okay, if you live in a small house, if you live in a place where you just can't you can't airbrush, you don't have enough windows, or you don't have a room, or if you just can't afford the initial investment. My second video is, go check that out. I DIY'd the crap out of my airbrushing booth. And you don't need like a $300 airbrushing compressor. And I'm telling you guys, it's going to be way better in the long run for you guys to just pick up something cheap. You can pick up an $80 compressor super cheap off of Amazon. There's a whole bunch of them, and you don't, air is air. You don't need a $300 Spar Max or something like that to get started. You really don't. My airbrush, my actual airbrush is, I picked up for what, 8,000 yen in Japan. It's cheap, it works, and I also use a separate Korean brand, Style X, for like my cheap airbrush that I do for just like, you know, doing you know, top coats and primers and stuff like that. So you do not need that much money to invest into an airbrush setup. You got a plastic box, which you can probably get from anywhere. You can, hell, you can use a cardboard box if you wanted. Get some tubing, like vent tubing, air conditioning tubing, which I'm sure you can pick up at any Home Depot or Lowe's or something super cheap. Get a centrifugal fan, which, I don't know, you can pick up one for like 30, in Korea, which is super expensive, I picked up one for like 35 bucks. Yeah, and just slap all that stuff together, hook it up to a window, and you're good to go. So, no excuses. Anyway, back to the reveal. I'll just flip you around here, and there we have it. In all its finished glory, my Mega Size Zaku 2 cannon. She's a very big old girl, but yeah. So I'm gonna kind of pop you back a little bit and to kind of get around to doing some talking points and stuff for this kit. So yeah, pretty excited with how this baby came out. I don't know why my turntable, which I bought off of eBay, is like kind of being a pain in the butt to work with, but it keeps turning off despite being plugged into a power bank. But it's pretty freaking huge. So I guess I should just talk to you about like the modifications that I did with this particular build. So let me just stop this real quick. Basically, I felt that the chest, as far as the chest part goes, I felt that the chest was kind of, what's the word, bland. So what I did was, if you've been watching my work in progress, you probably know, but I took these rocket pods off of a Zissa, and basically the inspiration for the pods was basically to have kind of like something off of like a tank, like an M1 Abrams, or you know, one of those Russian tanks or something like that, where you know, they have these kind of like countermeasures or something like that equipped onto the tank in case there's, you know, incoming artillery or something, you know, like a missile or something from far away coming in. So these will kind of just and you know, lay out some chaff or whatever. So that was one thing. I added, you know, a couple bells and whistles here and there, like that handle kind of gives it a little accent there, but I didn't really do too much to the body, to be completely honest. But another thing that I did do is, instead of taking the Zaku and just giving them the like typical normal knees, I went ahead and took these parts off, I believe, Mega Size Age 1 normal, I think. And yeah, I just wanted to kind of like not have the knee parts exposed, because I mean, they're really important in terms of you know, something like a mobile suit where they have to kind of be mobile and walk around and stuff like that. So I kind of added these, like, you know, huge ass you know, knee armor parts, so that you know, they're not kind of like all crazy exposed and stuff like that. So I figured that would be a pretty cool addition to this kit. But going to the back here, I'm sure you can probably notice the behemoth that is the weapon. So let me just pop that off real quick, and I'll kind of show you what I did with it. This is a mix and match of a whole bunch of parts, to be completely honest. So let me kind of zoom out and show you guys. So these two, I don't know, I guess I don't know, fuel tanks or whatever you want to call it. They come from, I think, a Wave option set. What else? I guess I'll kind of just tell you where everything comes from. That comes from the tip of this comes from the Zaku machine gun. This tube here actually comes from a pen. Just like a, I don't know, I think it was like a Jeju airline pen. I just kind of took it off and wanted to elongate it. That part is also normally attached to this end on the Zaku machine gun. This center piece right here actually comes from a, what is it, Master Grade Shinanju Stein bazooka. This part here comes like from a MG Red Warrior weapon, I believe. What else? This I think also comes from the bazooka. This what is it? Sight thing. That sight thing actually comes from the Zaku 2 machine gun as well. I kind of just repurposed that to kind of serve as a scope for the artillery unit or whatever. You know, I think a lot of you guys can recognize where these two energy resistor thingy majiggies come from. Obviously the HD big gun from the Thunderbolt series. This back piece also comes from the big gun as well. I just didn't want to, you know, throw both of them on there because it would just look too obvious. So I actually, you know, cambered them. Originally, I wanted to have one off to the side and the other one off to the side, kind of like the Nebuchadnezzar ship in the Matrix. But yeah, it just didn't look right. So yeah, I just kind of took one off and put that down there, and then added a vent up to the top over here. What else? That comes from the back of Age 1 normal as well. And yeah, and so for mounting this was actually a big pain in the butt to kind of figure out. I think I'd spent a lot more time just kind of thinking up logistics of how to do some of these modifications. But eventually I went around, I got to it. So basically I needed this to swivel in, I think, 3 points. 1 point right here on the back of the backpack, and then another here on the top arm for it, and then another right at the end of it, so it'll kind of swivel. So 3 points of articulation in terms of the backpack arm. I'll get to the backpack later. But yeah, so pretty much it was a lot of sanding, a lot of modification that went into doing this gun. But yeah, it's just little bits and bobs here that I just kind of accented with paint here and there and whatnot. And pretty much, yeah, so what I did was, as far as this part goes, I wanted it to be able to kind of rotate and stuff. So what I did was, this bottom part actually pops off, and I stuck a poly cap in there. And luckily, it just happened to fit perfectly with this piece of runner peggle in there. So I just kind of stuck that in there. And this actually, I'll tell you where that comes from later, but that actually comes from a key holder, key ring thingamajiggy. I'll kind of show you once we flip on over the other side. But yeah, so on the other side, I just kind of did some more detailing. I think that came from, I don't remember. I know that part came from some weapon, I think. That bit there and this bit here, I ripped off of the machine gun or something like that. I think the gun off of the what is it? The GM ground type, I think, like the machine gun or whatever. But yeah, I just kind of figured like some piping would be pretty cool. So anyway, these are the parts of the key rings that I actually took off, and so there's a part that you kind of twist on to attach it to the other side, which is exactly what that little metal piece is right there. So I just kind of drilled a hole into the other side to make it kind of go straight through, and figured that would be a pretty cool looking metal detail to add onto there. So just, you know, little bits of hand painting and stuff here and there, but nothing too crazy. The tip of this, which has a slight gradient to it, that took me 8 tries to freaking do with spray paint. So yeah, really difficult to do gradients with spray paint. I'm not gonna lie, but yeah, pretty pretty successful, I would say. This being my first ever modification, like, you know, to a kit or anything like that. So, yeah, there you have it. So, hold on, let me spin this guy around a little bit more. And as far as the backpack goes, there's normally a cover that goes on to the bottom part of the backpack, but pretty much, hold on, let me take this part out here. It's all rough and nasty in there. You guys can see that. Yeah, so this backpack I actually took off of, I believe, the Age 1 normal as well. Normally it's supposed to be on there that way, and I kind of flipped it over. I took apart one of the legs to kind of add some cool venting onto the back of it. And basically what I did was I drilled a really big hole into the side of this. Took some of these articulation parts, I believe, from PG Red Frame Astray Red Frame, and just kind of made it work. Originally, it was just supposed to sit there without the peg, without this this piece of runner, but it just kept falling out, so I just threw that in there to kind of latch onto or kind of hold onto something in there, and now it just kind of stays in there all nice and neat. It articulates. Moves around, no problem. So yeah, I mean, basically, yeah, just kind of spray painted it all down, and yeah, I'm gonna throw some super glue on there and then stick it back into that hole. Yeah, just wanted to make some like finishing touches and stuff, so I didn't get around to gluing that in there, but yeah, basically it just kind of pops in there and doesn't move, doesn't fall off, nothing. So so yeah, that's pretty much it as far as the backpack goes. There's no cover on the bag on the backpack, which actually looks, I think it looks a lot better that way. So so yeah, there is that. And let me see, in terms of the shoulder armor, maybe I can take that off real quick, hopefully. Whatever, I'll just kind of pick it up and show you guys. So this rail I actually took off of the MG ball. I just didn't have enough handlebars, which is why that's the only one I have now. Yeah, I just kind of ripped that off of the front of the MG ball. Kind of figured that would be something pretty cool to hang on to. These grenade pod things I ripped off of orange, what is it? I forget the name. The orange Zaku Blaze, I believe. It was just, they just kind of have them on the side of it. I just kind of ripped those off there. I figured those would be kind of cool to have as, you know, countermeasures or, you know, throwable grenades or something like that. I figured that would be kind of cool. Yeah, some vents I ripped off of some parts here and there, and I think I took that off of like the camphor or something. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the shield. Not a whole lot. I did do some panel scribing right there, and there, and I believe I did some panel etching on the side of the backpack, but you can't really see it, so I'm not really gonna show that off much. And as far as mods go, I think that's about it. Just kind of added this head-mounted rocket pod thingy. Can I get that off? Maybe not. Okay. Yeah, the rockets are white, and then they're painted red tipped, with red tips. So I kind of figured the head was kind of boring looking. And being that this is kind of an artillery unit, I wanted to throw something in there that was kind of cool. So yeah, that's good as far as modifications go. I didn't really do much to the bazooka. It's just a regular old bazooka with some decals on it. Not really much to it. Yeah, anyway. Spray painting this was really interesting. Because yeah, I was stretching this color. I only had one can of this, and basically I was like retouching stuff, and this is a really big kit to work with, so I was actually really surprised at how I was able to stretch doing the feet, the I don't know, the bottom of the legs, the whole waist, upper waist, arms, head, and the shield, all in this intermediate blue spray paint. So that was really, really difficult. And being that this was a spray paint build, I wanted to be, you know, just be true to the actual point of this build in, you know, just kind of showing you guys that it's possible to do some pretty cool work with nothing but just spray paints. I'm pretty happy with the way the thighs, the upper thighs, and the shoulder came out. If you guys can, I don't know if you guys can tell in the camera, but there's some pretty cool texture going on over here. And let me kind of show you what that is. Basically what I did was, there's a really, really light blue that you can see right there. And what I did was I took this here shoulder armor part, and I basically coated it in that really, really bright blue. And then I took paint, I forget what PS it was, but it's PS for polycarbonate. And the name of it is Smoke, and it's kind of a transparent color. And so I kind of threw that on there, and it basically created this really cool texture of kind of letting some of the other color come through as well as not come through. And so it kind of just dulled out that really bright blue by a lot. And I kind of liked it, so I just went ahead and just to save like paint really, because I was running out of this intermediate blue for the head and most of the kit. So I kind of just went ahead and kind of threw that on there. So yeah, so I mean, if you guys want to hear the paint choices, I guess I should kind of go over that with you guys as well, right? But hold on, I have a paint list, which I will put in the description. But I mean, I think the base colors are basically Gunship Gray, which is what you see for the outside casing for the rocket pods, as well as the knee armors. Metallic Black, German Grey, German Grey was used for the energy cables on the legs, the waist, and the head unit. What else? Intermediate Blue. These are all Tamiya spray paints, all of them, with the exception of one. I think it was a Metallic Black that I used of Mr. Hobby spray paints, but everything else is all Tamiya spray paints. You know, the whole thing was coated in Tamiya primer, surface primer. Again, I told you about the shoulder. This light blue is it's just called light blue. And I had like a light gray that I used, but it was just way too bright, so I ended up just kind of covering everything else. That is dark blue right there. What else? That was hand painted. That was what was it? Fluorescent orange, and I think that's pretty much it. Dark blue. I think I mixed a couple colors. Silver, some metallic gun metal and stuff like that, bits and bobs here and there. Khaki and a couple other colors, metallic red, mica red. And I mean, basically I just kind of used whatever I had. I didn't want to go out and buy more paint. The only paint that I bought was extra surface primer and this intermediate blue, which was only just one can. So yeah, just stretching it was kind of a pain in the butt, but yeah, it is what it is. So I think that's about it. I mean, this video is getting kind of long and dragged out already, so yeah, I think I'm gonna call it at that. So I guess the only thing that's left is for you to kind of just see some more cool video of this kit. And anyway, yeah, that's about it. So I guess I'll catch you guys in the next one. Okay, enjoy the montage. Alright, that wraps it up for the reveal for this Mega Size Zaku. What'd you guys think? I thought the colors were a pretty big risk, honestly, to be completely honest. But would you guys ever embark on a spray paint only challenge? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for watching, and I will see you guys next time. Bye!